Good afternoon. Thank you all for being with us here today. Thank you for your time and your patience. I'm going to hand over the mic to Oscar Garcia Ramos, Secretary of Tourism of the State of Mexico, to tell you about some very interesting things about tourism in the State of Mexico. Good afternoon. I'm sorry about my voice. The climate affected me. Our secretary sends greetings. She couldn't be here because of scheduling issues, and the idea is to talk about the project of meetings in the State of Mexico. Last year, we had the opportunity to present in the Tianguis the opening flag for what would be the development of tourism in our state. The reality is that today, when we've been at this for a year, some very interesting ideas have come out, what we want to present to you. And our information about economic has been updated, and the studies were done in global meetings. And in this case, in 2014, we could give more information, and with more information for the municipalities, which gave us even more information about tourism of state meetings. I'm sorry, I'm going to have some water. A tequila might be better. So the idea is to present these numbers that you can see on the screen, and we've widened and gone into more detail in all the state municipalities. In the first 4 clusters of tourism, Teotihuacan, Valle de Bravo, we did it 125 municipalities, and this is the up-to-date information that you can see here. In 2014, we had more than 7,014 events. I'm sorry, I can't read it because I can't see it, but you can see the distribution, how much of what we do has to do with corporate events and incentives, conferences, and this gives us a huge economic overflow. This is the constant that 60% isn't to do with tourist products. So this is information which is very relevant, and you can see it here that it's about 1% of our income. This is very important information because literally in our state represents 10% of the national. And if you see these numbers in our state, this gives us a tendency of how an economic potentiality like Mexico State can use or uses the meetings industry. There's a part here of rooms night, of visitors, of more than 500,000 direct and indirect jobs. But the important thing here is that what to do with this information. And now we're here. These events have been going on in this kind of organic way. Nobody's made themselves candidates for it. Nobody's been through the processes that convention centers usually do. There haven't been any hotel associations mixed up in this. This tells us that our industry is generating a meetings industry, and that's where it's derived from, and that's where we develop a model more grounded and to make the most of this synergy of meetings industry, not just filling rooms per night. And I'm sorry, but I know this is the tourist Tianguis, but what we least want to do is to fill rooms. What we want to do is to develop strategic economic strategies in the state. Obviously, the rooms are going to get filled and the restaurants will get filled. This is obvious. But the reality is, and this is something that we have to put on the table, the meetings industry isn't tourism. Tourism is part of the meetings industry, and you need to understand this. What you're seeing here is part of a study where events are generated. The detonator are the chambers, the associations, the academies. That's the important part, to find ambassadors, these people who put their hands up to bring these congresses, these conventions, these events. We have that. If we understand this part, it's where we start to channel the efforts and the attraction of events to an objective, which is economic development. And of course, afterwards, the facilitators are the hospitality industry, restaurants, hotels, the FBOs, which are very important to us, business centers in the airport, and afterwards the tools in what would be the drivers and the meetings industry as such. And the finality is to attack those productive sectors that you can see up here. And those are our productive sectors, and that's where we're doing events. As you can see, even politics for us isn't, for reasons that are obvious. It's an industry. It's not up there, but even water industry. It's a question that I've been asking that nobody can answer. Do you know where the Cutamala water system is? Nobody knows where it is. We've all heard it. The water for Mexico City. This is the system that gives Mexico City its water, and it's underneath Toluca's volcano. And we have a whole Inter-American center there for water investigation, which is to do with the FAO. And we could bring congresses and international congresses. The Chinese want to take away our technology, but they didn't know that we could do congresses. And the idea is to attack those industries. Obviously, we're looking for ambassadors, who are the first part. The benefits, obviously, there's a question of focus, of repositioning destinations, an economic flow, technology, creativity, and a series of new technologies and information exchange about the leaders. And that's the meetings industry. That's why I said, for me, it was very important, not just for the state of Mexico, but also as Oscar Garcia, to talk about this, because what we want to say is the meetings industry is separate, and obviously it uses tourism. It's not necessarily part of tourism. So this model that we're exploring to develop our strategic industries for the state of Mexico. This is a project that we presented last year. The phase is to create or develop meetings industry in Mexico state. Some of them have already been carried out, others not. We're still see if we can make a convention center for Toluca, but the reality is, if there's a way of focusing meetings industry through our local industries and through our local institutions. Derived from this, we started to work with attracting meetings, industry events. The meetings industry is coming up from the 5th to the 7th of August this year in Valle de Bravo. The question is, or the criticism has been, but you don't fit in Valle de Bravo. And the truth is that we do fit. And we've done a whole exercise to see the logistics, and it's fantastic what we're going to be able to do with them. There's an accessibility issue, driving around the lake, but obviously we've looked into it with professionals and worked with Sector and in the institutions that you see up here, and you can see we haven't closed with some of the important associations. But what we want isn't just to talk about logistics, but how do I move people round Valle de Bravo for a congress of this type? What we're doing is we're going to put our hands into the meetings so that it's more oriented to economic development, more oriented to what you're seeing and to the rest of the state of Mexico, to create economy and to create strategic economies. And so you can see that Mexico's involved in this, and the automotive industries is involved. We're part of the Meetings Mean Business project. We're going to talk about that. We're involved with this. The EMI are also on board. The Secretariat of Economics, they're also on board. And Pegasus Center, they're in Toluca and is the official track of Porsche, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and they do lots of cooperative events. It's a track. It's not a convention center, it's a track. The Alliance of Tourism in Valle de Bravo, instead of a hotel association, there's a lot of hoteliers who are on board, who are helping us so that everything's accessible, so that the prices are correct. And we'll be launching the opening of this Congress from the registry with Sextur, but also to be able to reserve rooms. This is worrying everybody, in a couple more weeks. Obviously, it's a citywide Congress. Another one is the PCMA, Professional Congress Management Association, with the North American Advisory Summit, which Eduardo Chaillo presided over from his office in Washington, has been solidified. And it's taken a preponderance of transferring meetings knowledge from American experts and Canadian experts to Mexico. And if you realize, in previous pictures, I said volume 1, it had the title in the meetings industry. Could you go back? In the part at the top, it says volume 1 precisely because this is going to take place in Ixtapan de la Sal. So the first part is going to be the theoretical part of economic development, and in the PCMA it's going to be the practical and political part. And the focus will be different. One is citywide Congress, and this one is very specific and has been studied and will be concentrated in our Marriott resort, which is beautiful and has the support of many of the institutions that you've seen, with the intention of doing that connection and with value added, all the peace and health that you find in Ixtapan de la Sal. I've got my friends from Ixtapan de la Sal here, and it's going to be a fantastic experience. And really, as I said, we're going to have the two congresses. Two things that are important that I forgot to mention. One is the Autonomous University from the state of Mexico. There's going to be a parallel event, so the students can have access to all of the talks and all of the sessions in Valle de Bravo and in Ixtapan de la Sal from their installation, so that they can also have access to this knowledge. Lastly, and before my voice gives out completely, the idea is that we want to comment that we're a state who is worried about promotion and the meetings industry. And we're part of what's called the North American Meetings Industry Day, which is the 16th of April. This decision was taken in conjunction with MPI Canada with MPI Canada and the United States, and now we're on board and making the most of the synergy as North Americans, because Mexico is a North American country, especially for congresses. We're catalogued as such. We're participating, and we will be doing some activities. In the morning, there are going to be federal events, making the most of this North American Meetings Industry Day. And in the afternoon, we're going to have sessions with the chambers and associations, with municipal governments, with businesses, which are important for our clusters, to talk about meetings. And I promise I'll have a better voice on that day. It's the nerves and a bit of palladium last night. And of course, the second phase on the 17th of April, we're going to talk to the University of Mexico, State of Mexico, to the universities. We'll be talking about economy, to the Faculty of Economy, to the Faculty of Sales and Marketing, of Tourism. And if you want to know more about this project and how other states are coming on board, you can see the link. And the contact is Daniel, who's the president-elect of the MPI Mexico. And if you want more information and to register, please get in touch with her. It's important. The Canadian and American governments have recognized that we're on board this events, and eventually it'll be worldwide, but right now it's North American. As I said before my voice fails more, I'm going to show you 3 videos so you can see the state of Mexico. That's first. And then the one we're using to promote the state of Mexico, to bring in conventions. And the next one is I'm from the state of Mexico. So you can have a look at this. So could you...
No me van a creer, pero fue como ir a un país mágico.
We were in the woods, and suddenly millions of butterflies appeared. And then we saw in the mountains, and there was a lake full of sailing boats and boats. We had a fantastic time. We discovered a lake inside. We explored and we flew and we carried on flying. At times, it seemed as if it was an adventure movie. And when I remember, I want to go back. We flew over the pyramids as if we were superheroes. If you don't believe me, go there and you'll see that everything I say is the truth. State of Mexico, live it to believe it. Esto es el Estado de México, el Estado de Oportunidades. Tenemos el nombre de nuestro país porque formamos el corazón de la nación. Nuestras bellezas naturales y culturales representan a México en el mundo. Aquí culturas ancianas se unen con ciudades modernas al lado de los desarrollos industriales más grandes del país. Día por día, muchos mexiquenses construyen vidas mejores para ellos y para sus hijos en una tierra próspera y rica, lleno de oportunidades, con vistas increíbles. Encuentras pasión en todo lo que hacemos, pasión para la vida, pasión para el trabajo y sobre todo pasión para la familia. Es nuestra fuente de fuerzas, pelear para las oportunidades para una mejor vida, un estado que llamamos nuestro hogar, donde se vuelven realidad los sueños, la educación de calidad es una prioridad y las sonrisas, las oportunidades para la inversión en el corazón industrial del país y de un pueblo competitivo, donde la agricultura florece adentro de tecnología moderna y el corazón del mundo está a un paso. Bienvenidos al estado de oportunidades, donde juntos logramos cosas grandiosas.
Por la enseñanza de mis padres de este país.
A ver la sonrisa de una madre que camina por sus calles, donde juegan sus niños y el por eso yo soy mexiquense, soy mexiquense y cuando yo vivo en este lugar.
Por eso yo y en el Estado de México donde quiero estar. Me enamoré de sus labios cuando los vi. Y con sus ojos tan hermosos no los sentí.
El gran orgullo que me mueve, que me llame mexiquense, se ve el estado majestuoso, Estado de México, Estado de México.
Donde la gente es tan especial, es tan especial. Yo soy mexiquense, donde su amor es inspirable y me hace soñar.
Soy mexiquense, en el estado de la gente sabe amar. Donde las mujeres, los hombres salvajes, colores y por eso yo soy mexiquense.
Thank you. I've still got a bit of voice left. If you got any questions, I'll try and answer, and if I can't, I can't. If you could have any questions, go ahead.